Yeah, everybody, one more week. I'm back. John Alite Show. Hit the subscribe button. I hope you liked last week's show. Follow me, write in questions. I know last week you wrote in a lot of questions, actually. So follow me again, write in questions. Spring is here. I'll try to do as many shows as I can. I got some Netflix stuff coming out. We'll be filming a new Netflix. We just started filming Pony again. That should be out, finished by the end of the summer. And I should be flying to Europe shortly. So follow me and stay tuned for some of the stuff they're doing. I'm going to talk about the border, illegal immigrants, the street gang that everybody knows that came from Venezuela. I used to live in Venezuela, by the way. I lived in Caracas. I lived in Valencia. I know Venezuela pretty well. And I was all over there. So we're going to talk about Tren de Aragua. It's the leader was Hector Guerrero Flores, right? They have about, for people that don't know, about 5,000 members, probably a lot more than that. They were in Venezuela until things happened with the country and the president, and so they expanded all over the world, actually, but in South America, in Central America, in the United States. So when we have our left-wing government officials, just recently on Congress floor, the mayor of Boston was one of them, and you have the mayor of Chicago, and they talk about protecting these guys, right? They didn't come here to get a job. They didn't come here to bring their family have a better life. They came here for one reason, to kill, to make money, steal it, beat women, prostitute women, force them into prostitution, bring fentanyl in, kill. That's the objective, is for them to get rich through violence. So why the hell does this sick government on the left, and you got some on the right, obviously, you have the rhinos that still, that are a little bit in hiding now that the president won. And you have these bureaucrats that they want these people here because they have their own agenda. The agenda is stealing billions of dollars and using it, they say, for these illegal immigrants. But that's not really. So for people that are naive, they don't understand. They're using them because they can funnel money all over the place and say it's for that purpose. And 90% of it goes in a different direction. And billions I'm talking about get funneled all over the place, and they're stealing it all over the place. But then you have the victims of so many families. And, you know, just recently when President Trump, did the speech at Congress, and they didn't clap. They didn't clap for that cancer, the boy with cancer. They didn't clap and stand up for the victims that were killed, brutalized. There's something mentally off with them. How do you not stand? How do you not stand for our veterans? And yet you stand for what? What do you stand? You're not standing for the American people then. But when you talk about these gangs, they're going and they're taking over areas and they're killing. And because I don't know if people understand other countries, because I lived there. I lived in these other countries. So I know the violence, and I know the understanding of life is zero. I used to be a guy that was a gangster. So I understand the mentality, understand their mentality. And their mentality isn't going to change. They're not educated, number one, most of them. 9/10 of them aren't educated at all. So the understanding of life means nothing to them. And the president designated them a terrorist group, and he should, rightfully so. So when you have people like, and I've been using Elizabeth Warren because she's so outspoken, she's nuts. How many does she have living in her house? How much of that 70 million that she has and better does she give away to illegals? You want to support them? Go ahead. The mayor in Chicago, you live in a fortress home. Or you want to talk that you're a left-wing guy and you believe that, then why aren't you giving them houses in your house, a space in your house? Why do you got fences around your house? Why do you have security? But the kids that grew up in those neighborhoods, you're not giving them security. And you're not giving them funds, but you want to give the funds to these people? It's incredible that the thought process of the left. And you have veterans, 50,000, I talk about them all the time, sleeping on the street. Why is that when you're putting illegal in hotels? And the people that are helping them and hiding them, if there's a crime committed by one of them, they should be charged with that crime because they helped hide them from ICE and from law enforcement. So if somebody gets killed, somebody gets robbed, if they're hurt, they should be charged with conspiracy or, and I don't know what any other law they could be charged with. They should be hammered with criminal charges for protecting them. The same people didn't come here, like I said, to work. They didn't come here for a better future. They didn't come here to help their families. They come here to commit crime only. And unfortunately, if they don't want to change their lives, we ain't changing them. They're not changing them. And, you know, I hear these stupid answers by the left. We have our own criminals here. Yeah, exactly. They're here legally. And if they did something wrong, we can't help that, but you have to handle it. But when you're inviting other criminals in, for what purpose is that? But when you look at this gang, this is a criminal organization designated a foreign terrorist organization from Venezuela. It's believed to have over 5,000 members. Tren de Aragua is led by Hector Guerrero Flores, which I said, alias Nino Guerrero. He was incarcerated in Torreson prison. It functioned as an organization de facto headquarters. The gang has since expanded throughout Latin America and the United States due to the Venezuelan refugee crisis. With the growth of the gang following the migration of Venezuelans to host nations. Due to the severity of its crimes, combating the gang has become a priority to many nations where Tren de Aragua has entered. Though Torreson prison was taken by Venezuelan security forces in 2023, the leadership escaped and the gang's activities continue to this day. We already know that, right? And some of that I already said and repeated. But why is it when you can't control what we have here in this country that you're going to try to bring out, you're going to bring gangs, and they're not just gangs. They're organized terrorist group, just what they're designated as. And there's not like 2 or 3 or 200 or 300, excuse me. There's thousands. And as they're moving, they're growing. Now, why would you bring in an organization to disrupt and kill and pillage and rape children and girls and everything that's gone on? And there's just recently in Texas, there was 3 guys killed, and they're looking for them. They're wanted now because they robbed them and killed them. But I don't understand the reasoning behind this because we have our own prison system in New York right now, and Governor Hochul, who I'm not a big fan of, is trying to get it under control. And in our prison system, we have guards here that I've said this on other shows. You know, and I know the system. They're abusing inmates, you know, and there is no accountability. But you brought in the National Guard now. I believe like 4 or 5 or 6,000 National Guard helping in the system, in the state system. National Guard are professional. They're trained. Any inmates that I've talked to, and I have a dozen that call me from prisons on a regular basis weekly, and they're all saying how well they're being treated by the National Guard. They're professional, but they're not abusing them. And the numbers are being changed because they're trying to justify the way they're running the system. But the guards can manipulate those numbers. It's very easy to do. And I'm going to say this again. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good guards. But I'd say 30% of them are bad. That high of a number. Unlike what I say about the police department, it's the opposite. I believe literally there's 98% of the police are good. And there's always going to be one or two. Nothing's going to be perfect ever in life. But with the guards, 30% of them are no good. They're the ones that instigate the fights. They can change those numbers by not separating when guys get into fights in the prison. They keep them in the same section because they know it's going to blow it up. So this is how they manipulate the numbers. They tell other guys, which this is a regular occurrence, they'll pass messages to other guys so they hit other guys in the jail. They'll help them facilitate weapons in the jail. So they do things to instigate this trouble. They tell people what other guys' records are, what's on their paperwork. And all this continuing and the violence that they incite. And then they abuse the inmates. They beat them. They tie them up. They put them, and they lie. They turn their cams off their the video cameras that they wear. They turn them on and off as they please. They have too much power with no accountability, and the system has to change. And I'm not saying a lot of the inmates are no good. I agree. A lot of them, I was in prisons with a lot of them. A lot of them are no good, but there's a lot of good guys also that want to change their life. They're not looking to kill nobody in there. They're not looking to fight in there. They're not looking to bring drugs in there. They're not trying to send messages home to kill anybody. You know, these things occur no matter what you do. But on the other hand, you don't instigate the trouble. And a lot of these messages are coming from the guards in and out of prisons. Now, depending on, like I said, who's running that facility is how your workers are, how your other guards are. And you have abusive wardens, like I had Zelinsky, where I was in Allenwood. She was an abusive woman, power hungry, sick in her head, abuse the inmates, and then you're going to get it back. The inmates are going to come back after you too, in different ways. Doesn't have to be physically against her, but they'll do things to disrupt the prison because of the way you're treating us or treating those inmates. Now, I get messages constant basis. I know through history and all the jails over the years how bad these guards are. The system needs to be revamped, and they need to respect the inmates. The inmates that are the ones that are trouble, and they are. There's a lot because they're guys come from the street. They have that mentality. So the ones that are giving them problems, they got to be handled a certain way. But the ones that aren't, and these guards that are instigating these other ones for money, for whatever reason, they're doing it. But these guards, it needs to be changed because nobody really knows what's going on in there. They have no idea because they're the ones that instigate half these things that go on in there. For money, like I said, for maybe one of the inmates said something to him he didn't like, so he tells another inmate. He instigates an incident. He doesn't separate him. He brings the enemies of that inmate into that same cell block, even though he knows he shouldn't. So, he can get the guy hurt. These are all manipulative ways you can handle the system in jail. But something needs to be done with that. And I spoke about it, and I'm going to keep speaking about it until there's training as the way the National Guard are trained. Obviously, National Guard, why are they treating the inmates so much different? The more respect you give to an inmate, the more respect they give to a guard. If you disrespect them, don't give him toilet paper, of course he's going to go after you. That's where he lives. He's not going to get abused every day either. So some of this needs to change. How does it change? Some of the training is number one. Everything's training and accountability. And the abuse of what you do to these inmates is going to fall back on the guards because the one guard that's shitty, he's going to cause problems for the guard that isn't because of the way he's carrying himself. But like I said, I'll say it again, 70% of them are good guys. They're not bad guys that are going to do their job and go home. But they know, like I know, 30% of them are no good. It's that big of a number. And that's a huge number. They're in there abusing these inmates day in, day out. What do you think these inmates are thinking? I know I couldn't get toilet paper when I was there. They spit in your food. They don't give you medical care. They tell you to go after yourself. They rip up your call-out sheets when you're trying to go get medical help. Or somebody in your family sick, you're trying to get a phone call, they rip that up. There's so many things that these guards can do to you that people in the outside world don't know. And people don't care, I guess, because they say, they broke the law. But a lot of these guys will change. Treat them right and they will change. Educate them, they will change. So it's a problem. Going back to the gangs here and the Agua especially, the violence, the level of violence, when these mayors of these towns like Chicago are taking funds that could go to education and kids and healthcare and school choice, and they're giving it to these organizations, basically that's what they're doing. Because anybody that really wants to come here legally will try to do it the right way. If they come here criminally, illegally, they're only here for one reason. And when you got people like AOC or any of these left-wing nuts, that really they're not left-wing nuts. Their ways, they talk that nonsense, but they don't give any of their money to any of them. They all keep their millions for themselves in their pocket. They don't go out and do anything for anybody. They don't got them living in their houses. They're full of crap. They just want to spoo that stuff because they want to divert the money, like I said. It's about them lining their pockets and stealing money. Write in, everybody. Follow me, John Alite, and comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. But you should write in especially about the system, the jail system. It's terrible that if you want people to change, you got to treat them right also. And all from just like I said, National Guard, I'll say it again. Every message I got out of the prison system, people contacted me and telling me the National Guard are professional, treat them like gentlemen, and things are a lot better with them in there. All right, everybody. See you soon.